All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for showing up today. My name is Melanie Cruz. I am the co-owner and business coach at Next Chapter Financial and Business Solutions. Today, I am so excited to be able to share some information about the DiSC model, which is something that I am a certified trainer and practitioner on. I've been doing DiSC since 2006. Quite a bit of time. And so I got certified back in 2006, and then I just got recertified in April because based on all of the feedback and research that they've continued to do on the DiSC model, they've actually been able to make updates. And so everything that I'm sharing with you today is going to be the latest and greatest information about the DiSC model. And one other quick tip to know, because I've seen this unfortunately, if you ever have someone tell you about the DiSC model and that they're going to teach you about the DiSC model, always make sure that the I is lowercased. If you see the word DiSC, D-I-S-C, and everything is uppercase or lowercase, that's actually not the DiSC model. So just a little quick tip, as I did a session a few weeks ago, someone said, oh, I've done this before, and they shared their results with me, and I said, oh, yep, nope, this is not DiSC. And I hope you did not pay a lot of money for this. But yeah, so today I'm going to talk to you about the DiSC model. So I'm going to share a quick PowerPoint that I've put together just to give you some introductory information. So again, my name is Melanie Cruz, and I'm here to talk to you about the DiSC model. So for those of you who are interested in mindset, and I know Michelle is very interested in mindset, I wanted to start the presentation with this information: fixed mindset versus growth mindset. And so first things first, I'm so proud of everyone for being here today, because to me, that shows a growth mindset, right? So growth mindset are those folks that are always looking to grow and be developed. So just interested in terms of everyone that's here today, how many of you have done some type of personality or behavior assessment before? Okay, awesome. Great. So we've got a mixed group here, some folks that have and some folks that haven't. And so what you're going to find is that every one of these personality and behavior assessments always have something in common. So even as I talk to you about the DiSC model, for those who've done an assessment before, you might hear things that you've heard before. But there's something that keeps bringing me back to the DiSC model. And we'll go through that in just a minute. But I think it's really important as we go through this to really take it from this growth mindset, right? And knowing that this is an opportunity to learn, and it's an opportunity to gather information about each other. And one of the things you're going to learn about DiSC, as will say over and over again, is that there is no one style that's better than any other, right? And so I always tell folks, when you learn what style you are, it's not about wearing it like a badge, right? Like badge of honor, I'm a D, badge of honor, I'm an I, right? It really is much more of, okay, that helps me understand a little bit more about who you are and how I am, but it doesn't tell me everything, right? This is just a tool. It doesn't diagnose anyone. It just helps us know how to work with each other a little bit better. So for those of you, as you're going to learn in just a minute, who are high in D, which stands for dominance, this will make you very happy. This is a DiSC model summary. So these are the key things that I hope you take away today. First, the DiSC model really is a tool that helps us understand our personality and how we interact with other people. There are four main styles: D, I, S, and C. D stands for dominance. Those are the folks that really are focused on results. They are the get it done people. They love to problem solve. They love to take charge, right? So if you've ever worked in a small group and they say, okay, who wants to be, the note taker, who wants to take charge of this group? They're the first ones to say, me, I'll do it, right? They love being in the lead. They like to manage. Then we have our folks that are high in I, which is influence. These are our social, enthusiastic, energized people that love to collaborate, right? So these are the folks, when you get them into a small group, they get really excited, they get really loud, they talk a lot with their hands, right? Again, a lot of this is not just about the way that people talk, but sometimes it's also the way that they carry themselves. S stands for steadiness, which is calm, supportive. They are what we call the glue of the team. They are the folks who are constantly checking in on everyone else, right? How are you doing? How does this make you feel, right? They want to know, what is it that is impacting you on a day-to-day basis. And then we have people who are high in C, which is conscientious. They are our detail-oriented, analytic, focused on accuracy and rules. They are the people who want all the details because then they can make the best decisions possible. Okay, so they're often the ones who will say, wait, 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 wait. What did you say? How much was that? How is this going to work? What's the timeline? Right? They're the folks that want to make sure that all the details are in place. So again, this is really about looking at your natural strengths that you bring to teams and organizations. And just as we were talking a little bit about at the very beginning, this is also fun to do in your home life, right? So I often have done this with spouses, partners, right? Thinking about who we are, but then also thinking about the people who are in our homes. The other thing I want to mention real quick is that you're going to find most people are not just one of these styles, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, right? Most people are a blend of a few of them. There are true styles that are just one, but as we've done more research, they have found that most folks will land in multiple of these areas, and we'll talk about how that works as well. So before I get started, are there any questions that I can answer right from the beginning after you see a quick summary of the DiSC model? Awesome. Well, let's get started with a few principles that's, again, really important. I want to make sure that we get this out of the way at the very beginning. All styles are equally valuable, right? Every single person brings unique styles. This is also very helpful if you ever go into hiring people. We tend to hire people who are very similar to us because that's very comfortable, right? But what you're going to find is that it's actually really beneficial to hire people who are not just like us, right? There are factors that influence our styles. So our experiences, our education. My style has changed since 2006, right? Back when in 2006, I worked on a small team. I was not the leader. People were not looking to me to make decisions, right? I was part of a team and a group. And my style over the years, as I had to manage teams, as I had to lead projects, as I had to lead organizations, all of a sudden I started to change because I had to, based on the environment and the experiences that I was collecting. It's really important to understand ourselves first and then try to understand other people. A lot of times we're like, oh, that's that person, right? But it really is about understanding who we are and what is it that we're bringing to the table. How do we communicate? How are we in conflict? How are we in terms of wanting to be motivated? What this does is it helps us build better relationships with one another. And as I mentioned before, this is not a tool for dialogue. I mean, it's a tool for dialogue, not diagnosis. So this is not going to diagnose anyone. So again, just because when you people read, you see one thing, that doesn't mean that that's diagnosing you as oh, you're the leader. So that must mean that that's what you want to do all the time. Because again, we all have flexibility in who we are. So what we're going to do today, we're going to do a quick activity where we are going to learn how to people read ourselves. So you are actually going to figure out who you are in the DiSC model based on 2 questions. And these same 2 questions are the same 2 questions you'll ask yourself when you work with other people or when you work with customers to try to help identify where might I fall in the DiSC model. Okay, and again, this is based on years and years of research. At the very end, I'll tell you about actually being able to take the DiSC assessment if that's something you're interested in. The DiSC assessment is more than 2 questions, I promise. But this is a very quick and easy way of being able to identify quickly who someone might be. So here's your 2 questions. So everybody be able to remember, okay, just these 2 questions, what your answer may be. So in terms of how you see yourself, do you see yourself as being more fast-paced and outspoken, or are you more cautious and reflective? Okay, so if you think fast-paced and outspoken, the words to describe you may be active, assertive, dynamic, and bold. Or would you describe yourself more cautious and reflective, meaning moderate paced, calm, methodical, and thoughtful? Okay. So often, sometimes people they're like, oh, well, I'm both, right? I'm going to ask you to choose one. And here's a quick tip. I often will say, let's pretend we're planning a party, right? So somebody just came up to you and said, we're going to have a party. Okay. Is your first initial response, oh, this is awesome. I'm so excited. We're going to plan a party. This is going to be amazing. Or is your first thought, okay, we're going to have a party. So what's the date? What's the time? How many people? What food are we going to have? Okay. And again, I'm simplifying this, but hopefully that can help you figure out, are you more fast-paced and outspoken, or are you more cautious and reflective? So just raise your hand if you have been able to identify if you're fast-paced and outspoken or if you're cautious and reflective. So just raise your hand if you've been able to figure that out. Okay, awesome. So we'll go to the next one. So again, remember that. So the next part is, are you more questioning and skeptical, or are you accepting and warm? So again, if you're more questioning and accepting, are you logic focused, objective, reserved, and challenging? Or are you more people focused, empathizing, receptive, and agreeable? So again, I'll use that party analogy. So for the questioning and skeptical folks, they're the ones who want to know, why are we having this party? When are we having this party? How are we going to have this party? At what time are we doing this? Okay. Or are you on the other side thinking, my goodness, who are we going to invite? Are we going to make sure that the right people are there? I'm so excited. It doesn't even matter when we're having this party. We are having a party. We're going to get people together. This is amazing. Okay. So again, I've simplified it. Raise your hand if you've been able to figure out if you're questioning and skeptical or if you're accepting and warm. Okay, awesome. So what we have just done is we've actually created our DiSC model. Okay, so I'm going to scan ahead because this is where we would have done the breakouts to have everybody go into their small groups. I'm going to show you this and then I'm going to take down the PowerPoint because it's time for us to have a little discussion just as this small group. So the folks who responded fast-paced and outspoken, questioning and skeptical, you'd be what be considered a D, and we're going to talk about that. For the fast-paced and outspoken, accepting and warm, that's our I. For our cautious and reflective, accepting and warm, that's our S. And finally, for the folks that said questioning and skeptical, cautious and reflective, that is considered our C's.